Do you want to become irresistible? Who doesn't, right? If your answer is yes, then you came to the right place, because we are talking today, Wednesday Wisdom 30-minute power session, all about how you can become a master attractor in your life. So if you don't know me, my name is Terri Cole. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, a relationship expert, and the founder of Boundary Bootcamp and Real Love Revolution. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Wednesday Wisdom, where we're going to rock it out in 30 minutes. You might be watching on Facebook. You might be watching on Insta. You could be watching from anywhere. Thank you for the hearts. Well, hello. I see Alexander's there. Hi. And Deborah. Welcome. Hello, Aurora. Hey, Sarah. All right. We are all here. Come on in. Say hello as you are coming in. And hey, if you have other people in your life who you think would be interested in becoming a master attractor and basically understanding the things that we're doing that might block us from getting what we want in life, feel free. Hit the share button. Do it. You know how to do it. So if you think your followers and your friends would be interested in learning something about themselves or how to become more empowered in their relationships, in their life, really, who doesn't want to become a master attractor? We all do. You know what to do. Hit the button. All right. We are moving into content. Hi, everyone. Hello. I see everyone is joining. I see Melissa. Hold on, I'm going to move this down. Hi. Hey, Jen. How you doing? Hey, Lavelle. Welcome. Hey, Laura. Hi from Norway. How you doing? Welcome. We have people from all over the globe, as we always do. Super appreciate you guys joining. So let's talk about this phenomenon that happens where we all know people, right? We all know people where they walk into a room and it's kind of like all eyes on them. There's something magnetic about certain people. And we know this in life. And we're all magnetic in our own way. The question is, what are we magnetizing to us? And that's actually what this power session is going to be about. How can we magnetize the things we want instead of the things we don't want? Because I know a lot of you, because you've written in, I've got a bunch of questions that have already come in, are sharing with me that you've had an experience, which I would call a repeating reality, where you're basically attracting the same thing. So let me know. You can drop it below. Have you ever had that experience where, let's say in romantic relationships, you seem to continue to attract the same person, the same type of person, even when they look different, right? At the top of the relationship, you may say, they're nothing like my ex. They're nothing like my last 3 relationships. And then somehow, as you get into it, you're like, oh my God, they are. Anybody? Anybody? Yes. Tell me yes if you've had that experience. I had this experience when I was younger, when I was dating, before I figured out my whole boundary thing and my whole love thing, where I thought I had outsmarted my tendency to attract unavailable men who were like my father, emotionally unavailable people. And what ended up happening was that I was attracting these incredibly romantic and affectionate and lovely men as I was traveling in Europe and other places. And so I was like, they're nothing like my father. I mean, nothing like him at all. But what do you think? Were they nothing like him? No, they just didn't act like him, but they lived in Greece or in Paris or in Germany. So were they actually available? They were not. So it is a different way of repeating the same unfulfilling experience. And that's what I was magnetizing to myself until I figured out the whole reason why I was doing that and what it was about. So people are saying, yes, 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 Jennifer, yes, always, but I'm aware of it, which is amazing, Lily, but let's change it, right? What we're talking about today is, what are the steps that you can take that raise your awareness so that you can actually stop repeating this unsatisfying experience? So also for those of you who might be joining later, if you're watching this during the replay, if you put replay in the comments, then I'll know, and I will continue coming back to, they're going to be, this is going to be on the Facebook business page and in the RLR group on Facebook. So any questions you have, anything you want to say, please ask it after the fact. And as long as you put hashtag replay, I will know to come and look. Someone said, yes, please, thank you. I love your work. Well, I'm happy you do, and thank you for being here. I super duper appreciate it. So we have a lot of yeses to attracting the same type of person, even though they may seem different from the beginning. So what is that telling us? And actually, I'm just going to hit Jenny's question because it came in and it was the same. It was literally the same thing. Why do I keep attracting the same unavailable as in married men? Well, here's the thing. What we need to look at is your love blueprint, right? Those of you who know my work know that I talk quite a bit about blueprints, which are basically unconscious belief systems, unconscious things that are in your sub or unconscious mind. So we look at the love blueprint. So let's just say one of your parents had an affair, or let's just say I had a client who was the product of an affair. So her father paid for everything, paid for their apartment, paid for all the things, but she and her sister were secrets. So publicly, they couldn't, he didn't recognize them basically. So even though he was sort of dutiful and kind of doing the right thing, and she had a tendency to get involved with married men, because that is her repetition, as Freud would say, right? Freud talks about repetition compulsion, where we feel a compulsion to repeat what we haven't figured out or what we haven't repaired. So how did we change that for her is we brought all of this awareness from the basement or the unconscious mind into the main part of the house, which is her conscious mind. And we were able to have her make conscious decisions instead of even entertaining someone who was involved with someone else, even if they weren't married. She would ask that question right up front, which before we understood her love blueprint, she wouldn't have thought to do that. In her world, all men cheat, right? This is just the way that it is. It's not actually true. That's just her life experience and what she saw. So it made sense, right? That was her repetition. All right, so Jenny, that's part of it, is looking at your love blueprint. Did you see this before? And if you did, where? Because that really does impact. How do we figure that out? We ask the 3 questions that might reveal a repeating reality, which is when you meet someone, and if they seem different, but maybe they aren't, you ask yourself, who does this person remind me of? Where have I felt like this before? And why is this dynamic being hidden, being a secret, not being with the person on holidays? Why is that familiar to me? And when my client was able to ask those questions, she was like, oh yeah, this was my entire life. It's what I witnessed between my parents. And listen, that's not always the case. There's a lot of reasons why we attract unavailable men. I did the same, and my father did not have an affair, but he was emotionally unavailable. So there'll always be some nugget of information if we're able to ask those questions and sort of go back in time. And these are all of this stuff, all roads lead back to boundaries to a degree. So someone, because in her situation, she would get involved with people, they would not reveal that they were still married. They would either pose it a different way and say that they were separated and had been for years. Like they would sort of make up a story so that she wouldn't resist it, kind of. And that is definitely a boundary issue, right? She was not direct in her communication. And that's a boundary because she was allowing herself to be sucked in, seduced into a situation that she didn't want, right? She didn't want to be involved with people who had families already and were already married. So that's what we're sort of looking for there, moving it into the boundaries, right? Because when we have disordered boundaries, that negatively impacts our self-esteem, because we're really, most of the time with disordered boundaries, what are we doing? We're throwing ourselves under the bus for someone else. We're prioritizing other people. We're afraid to, make waves or rock the boat. We're afraid for people to think that we're bitchy, or for people to think that we're bossy, or whatever the fear is. We all have different fears. There's a million reasons why we don't draw the boundaries. Most of it is because we don't know how. So speaking of that, I'm going to invite all the ladies in the crew. If you're here and you're a lady, I'm actually doing something to help remedy your lack of boundary knowledge, which is called BoundariesPalooza. Doesn't that sound like a party? Because it is a party. So this is going to be a totally free 4-part live. So we're doing it live this year during boundary season. Workshop series. It's going to happen over 2 weeks. And in each one of the workshops, we're going to be hitting some of the most important aspects of boundary intelligence that in the past 22 years of being a psychotherapist, I've gathered together that I see the most. What are your biggest struggles with drawing boundaries? So let's start with, how can you sign up for that if you want to? If you are on Instagram, you can just go to my profile. There's a link right there. The URL is terricole.com/workshop. And if you are on the Facebook Live right now, if you drop a comment into, hold on, what do you have to say? You leave a message in the comment, and you'll get an automatic invite from Facebook Messenger with a sign up link. So you don't even have to type it in yourself. We're making it as easy as possible. Starts in September. September 10th is the first workshop. I'm super excited. We've been working on this. I hope that I see all of the ladies in the crew there. Okay, that was a little PSA for what I'm doing next around boundaries. But it really is relevant to what we're talking to. People are saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, you are so welcome. Please sign up. Please come. Please allow me to add the value to your life that is my mission in life. Because sometimes it really is a small shift that you need to make that will make the difference. Sometimes it's literally, someone just wrote, I did not know that, and now I do, about these repeating realities. Sometimes it's enough to just go, oh my God, that's what I've been doing? No way. Okay. That awareness can change so much. It's actually shocking how much it can change in your life, just to know what no one ever taught you. Just let me be that fairy goddess mother in your life. Just let me be that wise friend, that loving other, as we call it in therapy land, that can help you get the skills that you need, develop the skills that you need to really become a boundary master, because that is the single most important skill set that literally, not only does no one teach us, we're raised learning the exact opposite of the truth about that. So I almost feel like we get, what was it? Disinformation, wrong information. What do they say about women? We should be nice. We should be accommodating, right? We should be compliant. No, thank you. But this is how we're raised. Someone said, divine timing for me, thank you. Well, you are so welcome. I can't wait to see you in BoundariesPalooza. And it's a whole thing. We've come up with a whole bunch of interesting and fun gifts. And we're going to have prizes for BoundariesPalooza. There's going to be a groovy, like a little challenge where you can win prizes. So me and Team TC are super excited to create this for you. Karen said, I need all the boundary intelligence I can get. So does everyone, Karen, right? This isn't just you. Nobody teaches us. And so we are really left to our own devices. And part of why I teach it and why I've become really a boundary expert in my life, I'm writing a book about it right this very moment, is because learning those skills changed my life so much. Because all of my energy that I was pouring into what I thought were the actions that were going to get me the things I wanted weren't. It didn't work. And I was working diligently and incredibly hard. I was so frustrated because I'm smart and like I can figure out most systems. I can figure out how to negotiate them. But this, I was just lost. I had no idea that there's a whole world out there of things to learn, like how to, with ease and grace, just make a simple request about a boundary. Like that was a whole revelation for me, where I was having all of this stuff happening inside. And I wonder if you've had this experience where you're making mental notes of sort of the boundary violations, or the person said they were going to call at a certain time, but then they didn't, but you're not saying anything. So just let me know, just drop it below. Or have you ever had that experience where somehow you have this enormous file cabinet in your mind of like all of the infractions that people are doing in your life, but you're not saying anything? Anybody? Oh yes, I see. Yes, lots of people. Okay. So yes, I see. Yes, thank you, Penny. Yes, I get it. But do you understand that isn't healthy, right? You understand. Everyone's like, yes, me. Yes, I see. Always the nice girl. That's right, Jan. Always, said Deborah. Right. Yes, and I don't know how to say no. Oh, don't you worry. Do not you worry. That is one of our focuses for BoundaryPalooza. One entire workshop is going to be about how to step into your no, why it's hard to do, how to do it with ease and grace, with words and everything that you need to actually own your no. Well, that's the whole thing. Jennifer said, because I was never allowed to dissent, right? So what happens if you're never allowed to say no? If you're expected to comply, well, then you say yes when you want to say no all the time. And with that file cabinet of grievances that we're literally building throughout life, if I would say one of my clients was doing this, and I would say to her, why don't you say anything? No, I don't want to make a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's okay, listen, it's not a big deal. If they want to do that, it's fine. This client would always say things. She was so habituated in saying that everything was fine that I would have to say, all right, but Jess, why do you keep saying it's fine when you're obviously upset about it? You just habitually say things are fine. Is it actually fine? Because why did you just file a grievance in the grievance file cabinet? If it's fine, then you wouldn't have a grievance at all, right? And she was like, no, I don't want to make a big deal. I don't want to make a big deal. So, someone just said 16 years of taking shit from my mother-in-law. Oh, yeah. But here's the thing, even with a mother-in-law, you actually can do it. There are ways that you can do it with ease and grace. There are ways that you can do it without starting World War III, without cursing, without being filled with rage. But what happens with the file cabinet, let's go back to that for 1 second, is that when you have this stuff in the file cabinet, there's a certain point that file cabinet can only hold so much crap. You understand what I'm saying? And then what happens? Well, then you explode or you implode. It's not always that you explode. You might just be imploding. So what does imploding look like? Oh, it looks like an autoimmune disorder. It looks like what I would call shadow addictions, where you might not be a raging alcoholic, but you might be drinking 3 big girl glasses of wine a night. Anybody? Feel free to put an emoji in that comment if that's you, a martini emoji, or even if it's not 3. But are you doing any mood altering or feeling numbing activities so that you can handle or avoid? Someone just raised their hand. Someone else just said, got that covered. Okay, so yes, I'm speaking to the right group. Someone said wine, not martinis. Okay, cool. I'm glad we're all on the same page. Someone just raised their hand. Oh my God, your emoji is so funny. Yes, so we understand that there's reasons why we want to numb the discomfort of 16 years of taking shit from a mother-in-law, correct? And we almost feel like we deserve it. Like, you know what? I've had enough of this. I need a break. I need to exhale. I need, right? Fill in the blank that would be your excuse to justify that behavior, to justify your behavior to numb the feelings. Because here's the thing. We don't have the skills or are too afraid to effectively and in a healthy and appropriate way draw a boundary with a bully mother-in-law. But there are ways. And these are all the things that I'm going to be teaching you in BoundariesPalooza, where we're really going to dive in. I'm supposed to be talking about being magnetic today, but somehow I'm right now, I'm so in because I'm writing this book. I'm so boundary obsessed that it's actually really good that BoundariesPalooza is upon us within the next 2 weeks. So I can get it all out. I've been making notes, and we planned this a while ago, but I keep adding to it. I'm trying not to make them like basically dissertation on boundaries, but there's so much that I want to teach you because I know how it will increase the joy in your life. And it's funny, I was talking to a client yesterday about how different it feels when you've drawn a healthy boundary, and how all of the bandwidth in her life that was getting sucked up from ruminating about who she was pissed off about, right? Ruminating about like why her mother-in-law is an idiot. She has a yucky mother-in-law as well. It's like we're moving into this different zone where you create all this internal expansion. So instead of having your mother-in-law take up all this space, let's just say, from what you shared, in your mind, like she's not paying, right? She's not paying rent to take up all that valuable real estate in your mind. So when we don't draw the boundaries, the desire to and the anger at not doing it, that really takes up so much bandwidth that what my client was saying was like, I can't believe how much space I have. And now that I do, I'm finally pulling together notes for my memoir. So she's been wanting to write a book. We've been talking about a book for 10 years, but now she's doing it. And I said, do you see a connection? And she said, I do. I see a connection that there's now space, that there's now space to be creative because I'm not constricted with anger and frustration all the time. Because really, who wants to walk around like that? We don't. Sinha said, oh God, I just drew that mother boundary by saying no after years. And I have Terri to thank. Oh, well, right on. Congratulations to you. Because that changes your life. That changes who you are and what you experience. I was just sharing this quick story, which I will tell you about changing the boundaries with my father when he was still alive. And I was graduating from grad school, and I shared it with my Thrive Hive community. I've got like a community of women. I shared it yesterday because it was on my mind. I had just written about it for the book, but I'll quickly tell you guys because I think it's valuable, and I think it's aligned with the boundary conversation we ended up having. Is that I said to my therapist, I'm not inviting my father to my grad school graduation. I was graduating from NYU because I don't think he'll come. And she was like, but do you want to invite him? And I said, I do, kind of, because I was like proud, right? I was proud of myself. I wanted him to be proud of me. And I had, backstory a little bit is that I had a difficult relationship with my father. He was very emotionally unavailable and, loved with money and la, la, la. Okay. So my therapist tasked me with inviting him. So I go on my annual trip to Florida to visit him while he was still alive. And I wait until the very last second that I'm there. He's driving me to the airport. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't go back to New York and tell Ruth that I didn't do it. Like I have to do it. Oh my God. I'm like dripping sweat from my armpit. I probably had hives all over my face. And I invited him, and in one way, my fear came true because he basically was like, I definitely can't handle it, because he worked in the city for years. He hated it. And it was very anxiety provoking for him, although he wouldn't say that, but it was true. And so he said he couldn't do it. But what happened is that interaction created this opening for me to have this super heart-to-heart with him, at least tell the truth about how I felt about him, that I loved him, and that even though my mother and my sisters would come to the graduation, that nobody could replace him. And this completely changed our relationship. So what Ruth was saying to me is, you invite him because that's your truth. You invite him because that's where your healing is having the courage to stand up for what you authentically want, how you authentically feel, not based on what they will or won't do. And I didn't really know that. I thought, well, what's the point? Isn't the point for him to come? No. So learning that lesson profoundly changed my frame around boundaries and speaking authentically and speaking up for myself. But it also changed my relationship to myself, because instead of relating to myself when I was in a dynamic with my father, like 50% the child me who was terrified of him, and 50% the grown-up me who was graduating from NYU to become a psychotherapist, now I was like 90% interacting with him as my grown-up self, which super changed our relationship, but it also changed how I related to myself. Because now I was like, you actually are a baller. You actually are a grown-up. The child within me was like, I can trust you now because you will stand up for us, right? The grown-up me, the child me, even if it's scary, but you're not so scared that you won't do it. So, okay, moving on. I got questions that I gotta hit. I'm gonna do it. Okay. On Insta, a question came in. What if it's not learned behavior, but you're emotionally unavailable to yourself? Well, it's not only learned behavior, right? That's one thing that we talk about, especially in relationship dynamics, is that there's a good chance, or 80% chance, that there's going to be something familiar about what you're doing. If you are emotionally unavailable to yourself, that's an inside job. All of this is an inside job. So the question for you, and here's a journal prompt: why am I emotionally unavailable to myself? What is it that you don't want to know? What is it that your emotional self would like to say to you? Write it down. Allow yourself to just write and see what comes. Because if you are unavailable to yourself, that will, of course, profoundly impact. And what I take that to mean is that you don't know yourself. It's like you don't know yourself well. You're just like getting through life. So like life is the tsunami and you're the little boat. So you're just like getting through day to day, just burning through the day. When you raise your boundary IQ, your emotional IQ, you become the tsunami and your life becomes the boat, so that you're driving the direction of your life and your relationships. Yes. All right, here we go. Jill said, I love your work. Thank you so much. Any guidance for keeping household space out? Keeping household spaced out when caring for a child with another set of parents. We have different styles of parenting, and I love keeping the harmony. However, when it gets too enmeshed, I feel it's all consuming, and I feel I can't perform any other aspect of my life to the fullest. Well, I mean, I think part of it is that you just have to have, with a blended family, and thank you, Jill, for asking, in a blended family, you have to have basic rules of engagement that you'll all agree to. So I found that with some of my clients, what worked is that if they had bonus children because their partner had kids and an ex, that when it came to certain types of disciplining the child, or saying you're grounded or whatever, that might come from the bio parent, right? So I think that each family is very different, but it's very important that you actually have like a set of rules of engagement that you're all willing, if you're co-parenting children, that you're all willing to abide by, and that the kids are abiding by. And it's amazing to have the children see blended families, their parents, interacting and co-parenting like in a loving, normal way. Like that is such a beautiful gift. So I think really coming up with, for you, before you suggest any rules of engagement, is for you writing down like, hey, what is it that gets in the way? What are the things that are, you feel like are preventing you from being fully in the rest of your life? Is there drama? Is there back and forth? Is there lack of communication? And once you get clear on that, then I feel like you can move into figuring out how you can minimize those experiences and increase the efficacy in the agreement. I hope that that was helpful. All right, you guys, we got like a minute, so hold on. All right, so the last one I'm going to take is, if I attracted someone that is not emotionally available and does not want to be, does that mean I am the same, or are they attracted to me because they want to be more emotionally available? That's a great question. And this is really about, can really be influenced by attachment issues, attachment styles, which is a whole other live I'll have to do, where it can be both. So it can be that you're repeating something and they may or may not want. They could be attracted to you because you possess what they do not, right? They love the juiciness of your availability, but they're too afraid or too shut down to do it themselves. I find this a lot, but it also sets up a real codependent dynamic where the empath, or the person who has a lot of feelings, is doing all the feeling for everyone. And then you don't really end up getting your needs met, because someone who is emotionally unavailable will say, well, but I'm here, aren't I? That, I don't have to be here. Like, can't you just look at my actions? Like, no, because my love language is words of affirmation. So I cannot just look at your actions. I need more than that. And you deserve more than that. It's important. Okay. You guys, I hope that that was helpful. I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to remind you, BoundaryPalooza is starting for the women September 10th. Do not miss it. terricole.com/workshop. That's all you do. It's super easy. And another way that you can get it, if you are on Facebook, just anything that you wrote in here, you're going to get an immediate message in Facebook Messenger, which will give you the link to sign up. It's completely free. I think you're going to love it. On Instagram, it is in my profile. All you need to do is go there, click on that link tree thing, and then you're going to find it. I want to say thank you so much. I can't wait to see you next week for Wednesday Wisdom. We are diving in. More boundary talk will be happening next week. Thank you, thank you, thank you for spending time. Oh, perfect timing. Time to go. Thank you for joining me. And as always, take care of you, lovelies.